fostering healthy communication, and creating strong emotional bonds. These are really important items for any relationship, whether it's a relationship between yourself and your partner or with your children. I mean, what are the challenges that people face when we're dealing with relationships and creating healthy communication? How do we do that? How do we create strong emotional bonds? What strategies can we use?
Welcome to Share.care, an all-inclusive community sharing experience, strength, and hope to create strong, healthy, and inspiring relationships. Share.care communities work toward every individual feeling safe, valued, and heard, free from the threat of danger, pain, or harm. Each episode, founder Damian Andrews explores the principles underpinning Share.care and invites expert special guests to share their knowledge so you can easily reap the benefits so many others experience. You hold the choice to create your future. Let it be with strong, healthy, and inspiring relationships.
Hello and welcome to a Pondering Life episode of the Share.care podcast. Our belief is that global peace starts at home. Feeling safe, valued, and heard gives you a foundation to confidently step out and make the world a happier and safer place for everyone. Because in today's world, it's in your own selfish best interest to help others. Today, it's my great pleasure to talk with Yola Bastos about strategies for creating healthy communication and strong emotional bonds. Hello, Yola. How are you? Sorry, we just had a massive lightning strike and the internet went out.
Well, so fast. I was like, "Hey, how are you?" I'm laughing. And you're like, "Hey."
But seriously, we were there and there was this massive lightning strike, thunder at the same time, so it was really close, and then it just froze. So I've switched to hotspotting because I don't know what it hit, but it's hit something. And yeah, so anyway, hello, Yola. How are you?
What a greeting.
Awesome.
I'm good, thank you.
That's
I'm
all right. I
good.
was kind of sorry. Go ahead.
What about you?
Oh, no, I'm great. It just reminded me of, I remember I did a conference. I was speaker for the Certified Institute of Public Accountants in Rwanda, and this was during COVID lockdowns. And similar sort of thing happened just as we started, and my topic was leadership in a crisis. And as we started, they're having all this at their end, they're having all this internet problems. So I thought, what a great opener to speak with this topic. And then, yeah, you and I just started then, and I'll leave that. I'll cut the pause out for the. But yeah, so for the audience, there was a bit of a pause there, but there was a massive lightning strike right outside my back here, which I can see. It's dark here when I'm recording, but the whole thing lit up, and there was thunder straight away, and the internet dropped out. And poor Yola's sitting there going, "He's frozen, snap frozen."
I don't like. I'm much better now, but for many years I had phobia with thunders. I still have, but I can handle better now.
Yeah.
So thunders, balloons,
Yeah.
and these are fireworks. It just make me go nuts. I don't know.
Loud noises.
It's not about the loud noises. These
Okay.
three things specific. And I believe by the therapist that I previously before, he mentioned that probably is from my mother womb, because when my mom was pregnant, was war in Holland.
Yeah,
was a war going on, and the bomb and the war basically. Because I never had this kind of experience of bombs or war or anything, but because I was inside my mom, I probably get that. So I'm much better now with therapy. I could achieve a better level, but if it's too much, I don't know why, but I go like just you talking, I'm like I would screaming if I was there, like
oh no.
So crazy. I really don't have control as well. I can't.
Yeah, you did. So really don't have control.
Like if I'm driving, for
Yeah,
example,
yeah.
that happens. I will have to stop the car because I can't drive.
Oh
I stop.
wow,
I get blocked. I need to put myself inside the behind the seats. It's like
wow.
I'm getting I need to hide, but
That's
I don't
crazy.
know. Yeah, it is. And balloons is just,
When
when
the
people
balloons
like,
pop, sort of thing, you mean?
oh yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
the pop. I don't like balloons, like,
It's not
please.
like clowns where you see a balloon and you're like, oh no, it's just the pop.
I don't get panicking if I
Yeah.
see a balloon. But if you come close and then you try to play with me, just the fact that you holding and you, no, no,
Mm.
look, this is so cute. Oh, it's so cute. It start to make me a freak.
Oh
But
wow.
okay, okay, but you can go.
That's interesting. I didn't, because I mean, I had apparently, well, I do remember part of it. I had a bit of a fear of noises or something like that when I was younger. I was pretty sensitive. I'm very sensitive, and but I remember there's one memory I have of my childhood where my dad had this remote control car, and it was one of those ones. It was a Formula One car from the 50s. I remember it, and it was white. I very much remember this, but it made a lot of noise driving. It was on a lead, and he drove it with the handle, and he chased me around the house with that, and I was freaking out, and he was laughing, doing it dads do, and just laughing his head off, and chased me around. I ran into the bedroom and just jumped up on it, and I can still visualize that today. I was standing on the bed, right in the middle of the bed, because that was a safe spot where the car couldn't get me. But it was more the noise of the car that freaked me out, and yeah, I didn't like those apparently I didn't like those noises a lot when I was a kid. Maybe that's an indication of I've never been tested, but I probably have ADD. So it's like oh, shiny thing, and but that might have been part of that, because apparently children on that spectrum do have a sensitivity to loud noises. So maybe I don't have it now, but
Yeah,
time in the army and shooting guns and stuff like that is gonna get rid of a lot of that.
makes me really to freak out is the noise. This
Mm.
this type of thing really is like bomb. I don't know. I don't know about army, and one of my dreams when I was young is to go to army.
Yeah,
I don't know, get it. I didn't went to army, but that was always I was
yeah,
passionate about it. Like, I'm gonna be very good at army. Just the fact for the exercise, and discipline, all this stuff, you
yeah.
would love because of that. It's just that. But
See, I
I
was
don't
the
know about.
opposite. I had friends who wanted to go, and they actually built, out of wood. They made all these guns, and they'd run around when they wanted to be in the army. But it was never something I was interested in. Probably because I think I grew up in that environment and not that my parents were related to the army, but I when I was young, I had to make my bed army style. My mum made me I had to fold the sheets 90 degrees at the corners, do it properly, and it had to be straight. And when I actually did get to the army, I could already make my bed army style. It was like, and the reason I went was because I didn't want to be at school, and my dad said I wasn't allowed to leave school unless I had a job. And the army recruitment people came, I think, about 2 weeks later, and I was like, okay, I'm out of here. I'm leaving. That was my motivation. Get out of school. I'm going to join the army.
Really? Oh,
Yeah, yeah. I
so
didn't.
you can leave school and go to the army.
What's that?
You can leave the school and go to army, and then you study there or no?
No, well, I didn't go to study. I just went to get a job, and because I was this was in the last year of school, so I'd actually was turning 18, so I couldn't do whatever I wanted anyway. But yeah, so it just seemed to be the thing to. Well, I said I didn't want to be at school, and even though I was probably technically an adult and I was fluffing around doing a few bits and pieces, doing some cleaning jobs and a few things like that to earn some money even while I was at school. Um, I I just I didn't want to be at school, and they came around, and it's like, oh, I don't know, this is a good idea. Didn't really think
And
about it much, and there I go.
how many years you spend there?
4 years, and it was kind of so there was that period of my life. I was again just not really thinking about and not really having a plan or goals. It was just, okay, this seems like a great thing. So I've joined the army. I haven't, looked at it, and I've been there for a bit and running around the bush, Australia. And I make this joke a little bit that, Australia, we don't have a forest of trees. We just have one bush, the bush. And, you hear about that, don't you? The bush in Australia. We went to the bush. It's like, what is it? There's one little shrub where you get infinite wisdom. The burning bush, you've heard that story. But and so I'm in there and I'm going, this running around and the bush isn't that much fun. But I'm here and I've signed up for a number of years and I've got to stay. And it's like, okay. And after basic training, you went off to do different skill sets, and they had different jobs available. And they only had a couple of good jobs, and there were some okay jobs. And the rest of it, if you didn't get any of those other jobs, you went into infantry. And again, infantry wasn't my idea of fun. And I was mature enough to know that I wasn't going to get one of the good jobs like signals or something like that. But there was a job that no one else was going for. And my motivation was, again, a little bit walk. I was 18. What is an 18-year-old male interested in? It's like girls. And and the position was a chef's. Yeah, so it was a chef's position that they had where they would take you away and train you. And that was my first thought. Girls like guys that can cook. That was my motivation. And my second motivation was, if I get this job, no one else is going for it, so I'm likely to get it, therefore I won't go to infantry. My third priority was, maybe if I get out of the army, I could use this as a career. So that was my motivation. And then when I was at the school of cooks or chefs, whatever you want to call it, because they teach you really exquisite culinary, and you have to make everything perfect and really fine dining stuff, because that's what you have to cook for the officers, but you don't, for the other people, you just, throw it out there. And but yeah, there was a guy there that they asked, did he want to go to Perth in my class? And he said, no, he'd just come from Perth, didn't want to go back. And I was just there when he asked, said, I'll go to Perth, because, that was probably as far away from home as I could get. And I wanted to get away. And they said, yeah, if you pass the psychological test, you can go. And I went, yeah, no problem. Not even I didn't ask why or anything like that. Yeah, I'll do it, whatever. And I've gone and done it, passed it, and then I've got in my car, drove across Australia, so Victoria. It took me 4 days to get there. I decided to drive my car.
How many?
Yeah,
4 days.
4.5 days took me to drive across, and drove across the Nullarbor. So, and I saw the bush, the one bush.
Wow, Damien.
Yeah. Well, I nearly didn't make it because you've got the Great Australian Bight, as it's called, in the Strait of Australia. We've got that down the bottom, but there's part of that that's a big cliff face, and I drove, and there's little parts where you can go to look out things, and there's fences that say don't go any further. But me being me, I climbed the fence and went further, and I'm standing on the edge. This big gust of wind came and nearly blew me off the edge. So I was kind of lucky that that didn't happen, because there was no one around. They just would have found this car, and yeah. Anyway, so I made it there, and I turn up, and I'm at the SAS. So I got posted to the Special Air Service Regiment and got to do parachuting and rock climbing and all submarine diving, all sorts of stuff. So as well as learn to cook, and cooking as well. And meeting girls. So it was good.
Yeah, nowadays you are a good chef at home.
Exactly. So it was like, I can still cook very well, and could cook very well back then. And it did work. Yeah, girls. I can honestly say, girls like guys that can
cook. This is funny.
It is funny. I just lost you again, and then we come back. There you are. It froze on my
What happened?
I think it's just.
I just said I don't like to cook. I know how to cook, and when I looked to the screen, you froze. You were like, and I'm like, no, don't be afraid. I'm fine. I like.
You like to cook, or I'll have to organize a special dinner one day. How's that?
It's like, I know I'm good, and I don't mind to cook, but that routine that you have to cook. Because no. If I have someone that loves to cook, like my daughter, it's a blessing. Yesterday I was here working all day, a lot of meetings going on, and then she just said, "Oh, Mom, I've done the lasagna," and I'm like, "It's so good." It's just someone cooks, and it's tasty, and etc. Oh, I just love it.
I love that.
saying this, I'm not that kind of person that goes out to eat.
Yeah.
I rather eat at home, but
Yeah.
I didn't born for the kitchen. I born for another things, like creative, dancing. I'm very creative, but not in the, I can do it. I know I can do it. I've been cooking for a lot of years.
Well, it's like that because I cook very well, but I'm also anally retentive, and my OCD kicks in, I think, because as I cook, I clean. So, like, as soon as the meal is finished being cooked, the kitchen's clean as well. It's immediate. Yeah, exactly. I can't stand it. It's like I hate mess, and it's like.
I can understand. My daughter is completely different, and I'm like, but why? But why you don't organize while you're doing things? Keep it tidy because it looks beautiful, looks clean.
Yeah.
I'm like you. Yeah, exactly.
How do you communicate that with her? Because I mean, we were talking about, before we started recording, and now recording several times because we've had a few breaks. But how is it, like with that communication? You say your daughter doesn't, is opposite to you as far as when she's cooking and keeping things tidy. Is that something you communicate, or how do you?
How do I I used to freak out. It's like, you need to be this, you need to do that, you need to. This is so strange. I would complain. Nowadays, I just look and she say, Yola, Mom, can you leave the kitchen?
She's worked it out.
I just leave, and even myself, I don't open my mouth because there is no point. She's different. It's just she's different. And it's one of the things that we as human beings, we need to understand from each other. We are different and cope with these differences, which sometimes is not easy. It's like, but there is limits. I do believe. Like an example, you know, I'm gonna say about my daughter, myself. Imagine if I am very organized and tidy, and so I'm going to the bathroom, I have a shower, and then my clothes I just drop on the floor.
Yeah.
And you put there. That for me is no longer having a kitchen, cooking and having everything everywhere, and then you tidy up. That's that attitude. I think is more like laziness.
Yeah.
Because the cooking way is something that she feels comfortable to be able to cook better. But for me, if I'm cooking, I'm using a pan and then I'm using something to dry the water from the pasta, for example. I straight away place the pasta back into the pan and I go and wash the other thing.
I do exactly the same thing. Yeah.
It's normal. But for her, it's gonna build up boom, boom, boom. When she finished cooking, it is a lot of dishes to wash, and that makes me like, oh, I need to leave this in place.
Yeah, that's what it does to me. I'm kind of like going, I look at that and go, oh, that's so much work to clean up. Whereas just doing that little bit as you go, it's not hard.
It's every day, like it's still happening, like because she works from home, so she's in a living room, and right now she probably, when she has a break, she gives something to the dog, and then she eats herself as well something. Why she don't wash just her a cup of tea? And I'm like, why? You had time to come and have something to eat. Why you don't have time to wash? It's just, and then I go there, I want to have my meal or have something, and I face that thing. I feel like I don't want to eat anymore because it's a mess. It's not too much, but it's a simple. She left everything behind, and she's working, but she's back to work. Like,
I kind of like that too. If I'm hanging out the washing, I always put the socks together so that when I fold, when they're dry, I can then, because I'm hanging out the wet washing, I put the socks together. So then I know when I fold them, I can just grab them, fold them, and it's more efficient that way in my mind.
We could live together, Damien, for sure. Because I'm like that. Exactly, like What?
You don't think it'd get boring? Is that why
How
they
is
say
your
opposites attract? Because it's like they like that difference creates a little bit of tension, a little bit of excitement.
no,
No,
a very OCD? No, no, no. Can work.
can work.
Definitely can work.
Sounds good. Yeah, because I lost you a little bit there because the internet went out again. It's we got rain coming down now. It's crazy.
Today is not the day.
It's not the day. Yeah, no, it's a bit like that lately. But it was just because we're on that topic of communication. Because I wonder about that. I look back at for example, in my first marriage where I was married, and we were very different. I was very neat and tidy. I mean, I had that army background and neat and tidy and organized. She wasn't. And from my perspective, it came a thing where if I didn't like something, it was like, I'm not going to argue about this. I'm just going to do it. And so a lot of times I would, just do the washing or pick it up, fold it, do it, whatever. Um, I remember one time because we were, we lived in a, very large house in an affluent area, that kind of thing. And she'd gone away. I can't remember why. Something, I think with one of the kids gone away. And so I got the house clean. I said, can you, because my cupboard's always where my clothes are, neat and everything's stacked. I know where it is. The shirts are in the right order. I can grab, I can just quickly go and grab it because I found if you're looking for something, I just hate that time wasting trying to find something, and I hated it. So I knew where everything was. And so I've asked the cleaner, her cupboard was just stuff thrown in the shelves, And so I asked the cleaner, I said, can you just do us a favor? Can you go through and just sort it out and just stack everything neatly? She told me I'm not kidding. There was 34 of the same pair of jeans. 34.
What?
I mean, we had the
But
money, but in there was like just scrunched up it was a big cupboard. And but the thing was, it was the same pair of jeans.
But now think about your communication, or think about your relationship with this person, or even if he's our child. I just thought about like the communication, like you were saying, you both would fight together because something else.
Yeah.
But just the fact you already in yourself, you have that. Why you're not organized? It increased the. I don't know how to explain, but increased the adrenaline. The adrenaline to be more impulsive, to say things like you don't want to be more aggressive with words, no matter what. And that's why I say that can work very well if you have a person like you, because imagine going to a house and then you just know that I'm going to go there, I'm going to I'm going to prepare the kitchen, and you get there and everything is tidy and you don't need to really, it's like a peace of mind. And that's what I want for myself. I don't want to be stressing. We both like that. It's a dream life.
Because I wonder about it, because I used it as going back then, this is a long time ago now, but I used it as when initially I got frustrated and said, okay, I can get frustrated, which is just going to do my head in, or because I remember my mum saying, if you love someone, you love them as they are, don't try and change them. And a friend recently told me, they said, when you meet someone, the first time when you first meet them, that's the best you're going to get, because everyone's putting on their best behavior. After that, it goes downhill. So if they're not good then, if you don't like something then, that's the time to go, okay, it's not going to get any better. They probably should see someone else. But
I say to my daughter, when you meet a guy, make sure you get everything you want at the first time. Ask him what is his desire and goals in 5 years or 3 years. Or ask things that you will, because otherwise you will just pretend you're not going to know anything. And then during the next times you're going out, you will be disappointed because you didn't ask. You didn't go through whatever you want to know straight away. I think it's better.
Yeah, and because I've heard people talk about that, they say they spend so much time planning for the wedding, but very little planning for the relationship as to how you're going to get along. You know, and I guess because our original theme was to talk about that in relation to children, and especially being a single parent. But it seems, in that relationship, they're kind of stuck with you. You know, you kind of stuck with each other in that. But in a partner relationship, obviously, partners can break up and move that away, but you have a different bond with a child that you're always going to be their parent, no matter whether you get. I look at my relationship with my parents, when I was, younger. I mean, obviously, they were hugely influential, but then as you go through a teenage phase, you have a bit of a rebellion, which I did. And then today, my relationship with my mum and dad is really, really close. I mean, we don't talk often. We don't need to. But when we see each other, it's, we like, especially it's, I think of it as normal, but a lot of people don't, especially when you talk about men showing emotions, that kind of thing. Because when I see my dad, I mean, the first thing we do is give each other a big hug and say, love you. And we do that, doesn't matter where we are, don't care who's around. It's like, walk into, dad hangs out at the bowling club, walk in the bowling club, haven't seen him, go up to him, give him a big hug. And, there's people everywhere. And it's, little country town too. It's like, you have that country town feel. It's like, it's not progressive city where you have so many more diversity and it's kind of acceptable. It's like, I don't care what you guys think. I love my dad. And so as a parent and a child, you kind of have that slightly different dynamic, I think, in that relationship than you do with a partner. It's a different thing. You have to find that connection, I think, in a different way. I do wonder if it's more about listening, because I think about that with, I mean, obviously two people have got to have some sort of connection. Can't be completely opposite and one person be listening, the other one being an arrogant prick. That's never going to work. But I wonder about, and I think about, looking at previous relationships that I've been in. And maybe I've had my mum drum into me too much. It takes two to tango was her slogan. So it's like, I can't sit there and I can't honestly look at it and go, well, the arguments are all the other person's fault. It's like, yeah, well, I probably stoked the fire a little bit here as well. And I probably said things I shouldn't have said, and maybe I stirred up some trouble when I should have kept my mouth shut. Which, I'm very different now in how I approach things. I listen a lot more, and I just wonder, in those scenarios, if we actually just listened a little bit more, would it make a big difference in the way we communicate when we're talking about healthy communication?
But with our children or with...
Well, both, really. I know with my son, I spend a lot of time, asking questions and listening as opposed to, giving directions. A lot of times I'll be asking, can you do this? Sometimes repeatedly, but I very, very rarely will give a direction now. It'll be, or even for a long time, it's been very rarely given a direction, even with homeworks. Like, oh, have you done your homework? Just in a polite way, not in a directing way. It's like, oh, have you done your homework? Which seems to, nowadays he just comes home, does his homework, does a fantastic job, which I recognize and say, hey, love the fact that you're doing your homework. So I praise the behavior that I want, and it just does it. So
I think is like you said, I believe that we need to be able to listen, but also to trust.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Trust. So, because I see sometimes myself worrying, without saying anything. Like example, you mentioned about the homework. She's not studying. I could see myself worrying, oh, she's not doing the studies. But actually, because I'm not seeing, doesn't mean she's not doing, right?
Yeah.
So it's about trust as well, and listen whatever they tell us, because on the end of the day, if I'm on my, for example, if I'm on my, how we say, period cycle.
Yeah.
I go mad. Anything that I see, I don't. I just, and then I realize, oops, my period.
All right, remind me to be careful when
Do you
Choose the
understand?
day to cook your dinner carefully. Is that what you said?
And my daughter,
And
she
don't
will,
mess it up.
she straight away start to look to me. Why are you talking like this? It's like it's another Yola, because the minimum I will go woo, I will explode, and then I realize, oh, my might be coming my
Yeah,
period, but this is my hormones.
yeah,
But it's just to give an idea that I will not trust. I don't want to listen. I don't,
yeah,
depends, because when we get to know ourselves as well, is
yeah.
another point I think is important, is like listen, trust, and knowing ourselves, because we know
Mm,
our limits. Our limit is something that we need to work out. I cannot work out on my daughter's limits, but I can
yeah.
work out on mine, because all I want is to say, have you done your work, your homework? If I'm on my period, it's going to be like loud and clear. And but if I think a little bit, I stop and I think, wait a minute,
Mm,
know yourself, something is going on. Stop. Because I do this now. I do stop and I think, why I'm getting so angry? So maybe it's my period is coming, or maybe something I'm worried about something. So I
mm.
analyze everything and I change. I try to change. I try my best. It's
I
like,
wonder about that. That trust, what you're talking about, is really important because I had the opposite experience a couple of times when I was growing up, and I remember one in particular, um, where, and I didn't even realize what it was, but my dad had it was the old school razor where you actually unscrewed it and put the blades in. Well, the blades
mhm.
come in a little packet that was green, and green is my favorite color, and I thought the packets were cool, and they come in the little the cellophane type, wrapped up thing, and so I grabbed a couple of those and I put taken because I didn't even I don't remember that I knew what they were when I took them, um, and so I've taken them and thinking that they're really cool because it said it was. I remember it was this really green packet. And it looked really great, and so I've put them in my pocket, and I think I must have forgotten about it.
Mm.
And then my clothes are gone in the washing machine, and my mum's found these razor blades, and my dad chewed. I don't remember him ever getting really mad at me a lot, but I remember him talking to me about that, and he wasn't yelling or anything like that, but he was saying, so what are you doing? You're taking these and slashing people with them, that trying to slash people and stuff like that with it. And I'm like, no, no. And I was like, so I had this real, guilt thing about I was doing it, and didn't believe me or anything like that. And it was, yeah. So that trust that you're talking about is really, because that, I carried that for a long time. Going, I wasn't, doing it, and I'm not saying. I mean, kids do lie too. You go,
Yeah, yeah, of course.
and I'm probably sure that that there was, um
It's the
I'm
way
probably
they
sure there's
talk
many
to
times that I wasn't honest as well, but this time I was. Boy who cries wolf. And
the
it was,
way do we the way we talk with our children, or the way our parents
mm,
just talk with us, because that trust, that about trust it came into my mind because of my mother. Because when I
mm,
was young,
yeah,
I was always very quiet at home,
yeah,
and she wouldn't ask me if is everything okay.
yeah,
She think I'm crazy,
yeah,
like I need to go to a psychiatrist or something, and she took me, and I was totally fine. But when I grow up,
mm,
when I became 18, and afterwards I start to go out, and my mom allows me, because I had a really strict raising way. I don't know if it's that the way to
yeah,
say. Like I couldn't go out even when I was 18. I couldn't go out like whenever I want. I
yeah,
need to ask if I can go to this club, to these people, and I have time to get inside, time to leave. But when I start to go out, and she was totally confident about myself. She showed me trust. Totally. So I felt like, what? Why? That's why I remember trust, because I said, why she didn't trust me when I was younger?
Yeah.
But when I grew up and I started to have, she did trust me in terms of going out and not doing bad things, but she was not sure about buying my own apartment, because when I bought my apartment, my mom was the person that didn't trust me most, and that was painful. Because it's like, make sure you're gonna pay your bills, make sure blah blah blah. I'm not sure why you're doing this. Maybe you shouldn't buy the house because it's you're not gonna be able to pay, and then I'm gonna be with the arrears or problems, because she was my my second, I don't know the name in English. It's like she signs, like if something happens to me, she takes over.
Power of attorney.
Yeah. So she was the worst attorney, or what's the name, because I felt really, and it was something that I carried for a long time, like you just said about blazers, because it is. But on the other hand, she had some areas of my life that she trusts me. And then the more older I become, the more trust she built. But was herself. It's not like I'm not good. It was herself. But she showed me this very clear, and it was painful when that happened. That's why I thought about trust.
Yeah, no, but I mean, trust is really important, and I wonder, because as I think about it from my side of things, and looking at me being a parent, I wonder if I kind of overcompensated a little bit there, because I remember when my son was young, very, very young, his half sisters went to an all girls, very private school thing, which, but the preschool, oh no, it wasn't even the preschool; it was just the play thing for kids before they even get to kinder, that kind of thing, allowed boys there. And so because the girls were going there, it was just kind of convenient to the school he was going to go to. That part of it was further away, even though the school was closer. The pre-play, whatever you want to call it, was further away. So it was like, I would just go there. But then we got called into the office because they were concerned. They said, "Look, we're a bit worried about his behaviour." And I said, "Oh, what's going on?" And they said, "Well, he's making train noises." And I'm like, "But
train noises?"
Yeah, going. He's running around, choo 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 choo, and I'm like, "But he's a boy. He's supposed to do that. He's not." They're going, "He's not sitting quietly," and I'm going, "Yeah, but he's a boy." He's not a girl. He's not that compliant. The boys aren't that compliant. And so I was from very, maybe I was overly defensive about that, because I was like, and then because of a few things that were going on with the family, that cause you sit there and you read with the kids and that kind of stuff, and they start school with a certain level of education. Well, it didn't get that because we were busy with other things that were impacting on our life at that time. So it was a little bit behind. So I got that kind of got, saying, "Oh, no, maybe he's got learning disability." And it's like, no, he doesn't. He just hasn't had the foundation. And so I got really defensive about, showing and believing in him that he's, to him, that he's are good. Don't listen to what everyone else is saying. You're a good learner, and I was doing that solo. It was only me that was doing that, and I mean, I firmly believed it was the case, and I really put this strong faith that you have that ability and you're doing really well, and it's just it's just a learning thing. And he was doing some extra support classes, and then he set the goal that he wanted to. This was later. He set goal that he didn't want to do them anymore. I said, "Yeah, you can do that. This is what we need to do." We worked through that. He did the work. He didn't need to do the support classes. I asked him, what does he want to do for school? And said, "Well, you set your grades. What grade do you want to get for school? I can tell you what to get, but it's not, what do you want? It's your life." I facetiously said, "It's your life. You mess it up, then you can't blame me if I've given you the freedom." So he set the grade that he wanted, and I'm like, "Well, yeah, no, it was a high grade, but it wasn't the highest." But I just went, it's your life, you choose, and it's up to you. But not only did he get to that, because he wasn't getting that grade, so he actually worked up. He got out of support class by himself. Obviously giving him, when he needs help, helping him. But he did the work. Then he achieved the grade, but then he blew past it and was actually getting A's and A pluses as well. And it was like, so that when you're talking about trust, I think that's a really relevant point as far as communication going. Trust and belief in their ability. I was reading that in a study. I didn't read the study. I read about the study, or I heard about it as well. Was they wanted to work out, was there a common factor? People that are overachievers, people that are extreme at the extreme end of achievement. And the people that they studied, were part of this study, were people like Steven Spielberg. There was a whole, there was a number of musicians in, a number of business people, and Donald Trump was in there before. This is well before he was a president, but when he was, successful business person, there was a whole bunch of people like that, and that they went through. It's a massive number of sample. And they went through, and I think it was about 280 different variables they're looking at, going, is there any of these that are common across the board? And there wasn't, and they couldn't find anything. And then they got to one factor that was common across all of them.
Yeah.
And it was, and generally it was the parent of the opposite sex. So if it was a girl, it was the father, and if it was a boy, it was the mother. Not always, but mostly it was the parent of the opposite sex had an unquestioning belief in the child's ability when the child was at a young age. So if the child at a young age said, "I want to be an actor, or I want to be an astronaut," the parent didn't go, "No, you can't do that." They said, "You'll be the best actor out there, or you'll be the best astronaut. You'll be number one." And what they said was, what it did was, because it wasn't a question of the career that the child was going to have. It was a question of the belief that the parent had in their ability. And when they gave them the confidence that they could do what they wanted to do, just by simply going, "Yep, you'll be the best at that," whatever it was, the child from that young age had a foundation of confidence in their ability to achieve whatever they wanted to achieve. And that's where, as you say, the trust. I think the trust is vital. That trust and belief in their ability is vital for that communication.
Just made me remember one thing. But yes, I agree with you. But regarding this example, just to mention about this research that they did about the parents of these people. But there is the other side of the coin as well, which is some cultures that I'm aware. They are like machines. They don't care whatever, because these ones that you said, they look into their kids, and they actually, before the trust, they have the ability, or I don't know which word you will come with. They let them talk, like they let them speak by themselves. Like, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a painter. And they say, "You're going to be a good painter." But there is the other side of the coin, where you born and your mother or your father or your parents, they say, "He's going to be a lawyer."
Yeah.
And they make everything for that kid to grow and go lawyer. And then it comes to a point in their age, they just explode, and they get into, they lose themselves, because it's so many in some cultures. Like,
it's common across, I think, in I would say, certainly in all the areas that I've looked at, that happens. I think that's quite normal, where parents say, "Well, we want you to do this," or "We want you to do this for your security." It's good. There is very common. Be a doctor, be a lawyer, because I know lots of lawyers. I work in that space a lot, and I know a lot of older lawyers, older barristers. I'm yet to meet one that is at that stage of their life where they've gone, "That I made the right choice." I've met many that said if they could do it again, they'd do something different. It's not a pleasant place to be. Is it secure? Yeah, maybe. I don't know, but I think there's something. I think. Okay.
Yeah, say it. No, no,
I
no.
was just
Say it. Say it.
I was just going to say it because I mean this is something, and maybe it comes from that, that generation. Because I know, for example, my parents, my dad worked in the same job his entire life, not same job, same organization. He worked many different jobs within that organization, but he progressively got better and studied and did things, but he never went out to a different organization. Part of that was, I think, security. I mean, my grandparents went through the Great Depression, then went through World War II. So that they grew up in the Great Depression of this missing out on so much. Then went into World War II, where again, lots of scarcity. Just need to survive. Just need to hold on. So you've got to find that security. Then came out to Australia and had this again with almost nothing, and had to build it up and create that security. So I can understand from my dad's mindset that he was taught to have that, hold on to that security, don't step out too much. In today's world, it's a lot different now because you can pretty much make money doing anything. If you're adding value, if you're solving a problem, it's as simple as that. You're solving someone's problem, and if you're doing it in an area that you love, you can make money out of that quite easily. And enjoy your life. So it's a completely different. I think we've gone the other way where people don't know how to make a decision. So that's where they're kind of struggling. They got all this opportunity and don't know how to make a decision. Whereas before, I look at my dad, he didn't really have the opportunity to do anything different. It was just, this is what you do, and he didn't have to make a decision. I look at my early life, I had lots of opportunity, and I really didn't know how to make a proper decision. I did lots of things, but I didn't really make a decision. I talked about before, join the army. It was because I want to get out of school and go to school of cooks because I wanted to impress girls. It wasn't really I was making choices. I wasn't really aware of the choices I made or that I had that choice. And that's where, when I work with people now, I talk about, rather than asking them, what do you want? Because when you ask people what they want, generally they don't know. They go, I don't know. So I ask, what do you choose? Because I found that opens a whole different discussion, because people, when you say, what do you choose? They go, what do you mean choose? So, well, you can choose to do anything you want to do. Oh, can I? So what if you could choose, what would that be? And it's like, you mean I can choose? It's like, yeah, you can choose. You can be anything you want to be. And so that's where I was, trying to, from that side of things, when we're talking about having that trust and faith, and yes, some people have that. They're driven to do, as you say. I don't know that it's a cultural thing. I think it is across the board, where parents will impose, this is what you should do, and it becomes more difficult to find your way.
I think some cultures are very rigid. I'm going to give you an example.
Yeah.
Who is the best, what's the name? Now, gymnastics in the world. Who is the best gymnastics in the world normally? Who wins the competitions?
I don't really watch it, but I'm going to guess Russians or somewhere like that.
Do you think that is because they just woke up, they want to be gymnastics? No. They are. I have some friends from Russia.
Yeah.
And I started to study that from
I got it right.
Yeah. And I'm like,
don't ask me any more questions. I got 100%. I'm fine.
I was like, why? And it's like implemented on her, my friend, kids. So she definitely will need to go to gymnastics. They will need to go to ballet. She will have to go to piano class, no matter what.
Yeah.
You can struggle at home. You can have no food, but you're going to put because you believe that she will give you profits. It's like a machine. They machine in terms of that. And another country, let's go for another one.
No, I've got 100%. I don't want to fail. I can only get, if you only give me 2 questions, I've got, I drop very quickly down to 50% if I get it wrong.
So you're gonna be fine.
All right.
Which country got the best? Actually, I don't know if it's the right, but you're gonna say straight away, who is the masters in martial arts?
Just Japan, where that culture is.
China, Japan.
Yeah.
But there is a routine. There is some stuff that they do. Yes. This is because I got to know people, not just to finding them on the bar, on the club, but get to know them, their life, their routines, and participate. And I'm like, it's like religion. It's like religion.
Yeah.
Like you are Chinese, you definitely, or you either probably, if you live in these countries like Europe, you're probably not going to follow up. But if you are a Japanese and you don't do, I don't know, there is a practice that I actually I'm now doing. Is a Japanese practice. It's like prayer, but in terms of Chinese, they do. What's the name of the religion?
The Tai Chi. Tai Chi. Buddhism. Yes. Yeah.
Buddhism. It's very normal, but the routine. My friend, that she said, Yola, this is a Chinese thing to do. We grow up like that. Her son wake up, go to the school, come back. When he comes back, he has 1 hour in maths, 1 hour in piano. Imagine one kid that comes from school, he wants to go play, but he cannot. He has 1 hour.
Yeah.
And studying maths, 1 hour studying Chinese because he's not in the country, but he has to know the language.
Yeah.
Mandarin. So these kind of things are implemented. Then they really, they don't allow you, because the kid doesn't. I used to see him, and he doesn't really feel like he wants to do that. And I'm saying
we had that when I was growing up, because I used to come home from school. My mum would give my sister and we'd come home, and I remember sitting at the table. She had homework for us to do, extra homework that we had to do. Yeah.
But I don't know. I also have some stuff that I grew up into.
Yeah.
Not these countries. They tough. It's not something like, if you don't do that, you're going to be discriminated from your other friends or colleagues or family, because you have to put your sons or your daughters. It's like I find crazy.
Yeah, I've got friends of mine like that. I mean, from an Asian background, I know their son, who's the same age as my son. I think he might be a year younger. But yeah, from a very early age, it was, come home, do more study, do music, do this. And my son had that to a degree, because I mean, he was doing music and was doing. I had him doing martial arts for stillness. I wanted, just to help be still, be focused. And I started. They had a martial arts program at the school, so I thought I'll get him to do that. But then it became a combination of doing the music, and it was only I wasn't. I thought the music was a good idea for, because you get a lot of cognitive ability, and it's good. Learning music is good for your mind in a number of different ways. But it was only me driving that, so I went, well, if I'm going to choose between the two, I'm going to choose martial arts. So I dropped the music, and it wasn't picked up. So it was like it went. From him having to do that, because it wasn't pushed. It was only me initially doing it. And I was initially doing it because his mum wanted to do it when we were together. But then after we broke up, I was still doing it and pushing it, but I wasn't getting support on it. I was like, well, it's your initiative. If you're not going to do it, I'm not going to push it. And it just dropped away, but he kept doing the martial arts. So, but I don't know. I mean, everyone's, I suppose, in their own, got to find their own way in that regard. I look at what I do with my son and the communication that we have. As I mentioned before, he comes home, he'll do his homework, he'll do a little bit of extra study, because we talked about, and we had this conversation. I talked about, if you what you've done in the class during the day, if you come home and review that when you get home, say 5 or 10 minutes, go over it. That's going to stick in your mind better, because that's how your memory works. The more you repeat it at the beginning, it's going to be better for you. So when you go to study for exams, you're going to have a better retention already. So, and he'll just do that, and then he's off doing his own thing. He likes to play video games, and 14-year-old boy. I don't have a problem with that. If you've done your study, cleaned your bathroom, Yeah, because there's a few things around the house, empty the bins. If you've done all that, do whatever you want to do. It's not for me to tell you how to live your life. I don't know. That's how I approach it. Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
That is like, yeah.
But with I mean, because how old's your daughter now?
25.
25. So how did you go through that process? Because I mean, you raised her by yourself from the very beginning.
I think my daughter tried things. I allowed her to try. I said, "Do you want to do ballet?" Because my friend, the Russian, her daughter was doing ballet, but I never insisted in. Okay, I think this because I wish my daughter is a ballerina. I love ballet, but I didn't. I never. I can't remember a time like pursuing her dream by my decision, or if I make sense, or trying to input. But I remember taking her, but didn't last that long for some reason. I don't know. I think was costs as well. And then she always, in some way, she always followed me. Like, because I was involved in dance. She was dancing in my group. I was leading a group. So Jamila was there. She enjoys. I went to church.
Yeah.
Jamila went to church with me. So because she was that young that she needs to go with me, like from 7, 8 years old.
Yeah.
You will not, you're not gonna say, "No, I don't want to go to church, Mom."
Yeah.
You will go. Actually, never think about it. You're so excited because it's a place that you feel comfortable. And because I always look to Jamila like thinking, if she's safe, if she feel comfortable, I will leave her there. Like in church, for example, because the church is so big. We have rooms for children where they do a mini church for them with different musics for kids, etc. And dropping my daughter there, it would be like feeling. I need to feel that she's comfortable, she's happy. Otherwise, she would go and sit with me in a normal service.
Yeah.
But she always were excited, and then she grew up there to the point that she started to be a nanny to other sisters inside the church, like taking care of their kids, because there is a big volunteer thing. So you can also, and when she grew, she went to become that volunteer that takes care of the kids, like someone took care of her. So this is my, also I never had struggle. But when she start to grow, like 18 years old, 19, no, she was fine. Yeah. I think my struggle was now later, like 22, when she decided to be more rebel, I think.
She's an adult then, you know.
Yeah, but she did not, how I say, she did not have that rebel times, and she decided, I don't want to be here. She just, from nowhere you come. You are 20, of course, you are 22 years old. You know what you want. You know when you want, and etc.
No, I didn't at 22. I had no idea.
I mean, you can decide that. I don't need to be telling you're going to go this way.
Yeah.
But then coming from nowhere and say, I want to go, I think I need to live away from here or from you. Or I was like, huh? What's going on? But it's things that she would see before, like basically she had the times that she said, "Oh no, I don't like this," and then she carry on doing acceptance and not, how I say, not expressing herself. I don't agree with this. I don't agree with that. And she built up, and then when she was 22, I think 22 or 23, she just explode like the rebel, like, because I was rebel when I was 16, 17. No, not 22. 22, I already have a car. I had already bought a house. I'm living my life and closer to move to another country. So it's different. And I felt like, oh, wow, she was like building up something inside of her instead of releasing every single time. It was a lesson anyway. But because there was no communication from our side, you know, you don't agree with something, because we're talking here about parents, but what about them? How they react with us, how they communicate, because our communication is good. Okay, we believe it's good, but what about them? How? Because my daughter was not communicating everything I thought she was, and then when comes this 23, when she was 23, I think, or she explodes. She says things to me that I never thought that she would think about it.
Yeah, like what sort of, was it just things that she wanted to say but never did, or?
She didn't like, but she never told me that she didn't like that we texting, like she's going out, for example, one example, she's going out and she texts me, say, Mom, I arrived. She don't want to do that anymore, but she never told me. She keeps doing. So how I'm gonna know? You know, I understand, because she grew up with me. When the reason that she started to have a phone when she was young was for that, because she's leaving the school by herself and she's going to my aunt's house and etc. And we both built it, a relationship, that trust. And I don't really I don't really worry about it. But imagine you are at home and your daughter my daughter told me, oh, I'm going to go out with my friends for dinner. So when you think you're going out for friends for dinner, that's fine, okay. But if it's 9 o'clock next day, what are you going to be thinking? It's fine. It's everything, because I can't see a message from her, and I'm saying, what's something might happen, because there we go. We are parents. I'm not going to be just my friend. Even if he's my friend, I don't know. I don't know to think. I don't think differently. I can't say to myself, everything is all right, because it's my daughter. It's my only daughter. I don't know. Even if I had 5 daughters, I think I would be worried. It's like you left for a dinner, 9 o'clock, whatever. And it's 9 o'clock next day, and you don't have a text, you don't have a mess, you don't have anything. How you feel? Tell me, Damien.
Yeah, well, if there was supposed to be my care, I'd be wondering what's going on, what's happening. I'd be, be worried.
I'm fine, Mom.
I'd be worried.
I'm at someone's. I'm. If she told me I'm fine, I'm at someone's house, I'm not gonna say who is house. Not this kind of thing, but it's just is my worry. But wasn't, and then she was doing the rebel thing. Because
so how did you deal with that? I mean, when you're talking, because we're talking about fostering healthy communication here, she obviously felt that she, at some point, she didn't want to be messaging you anymore. I mean, how do you think, I mean, is it, is that a process of just learning? I mean, did she learn from that did it translate to other things where she could tell you, hey, we need to have this communication, or was it, just that thing, or was it, how did it affect your relationship going forward?
It is a process, actually. When I realized this, I first of all, I cried for I don't know, a day or so, because I felt like, wow, it looks like I'm a monster. Like, I just felt like I was hurting her without knowing. Do you understand? Because something that you don't want, but you never told me. So maybe change the way. So, but it was good to have the conversation about communication and showing feelings, and things became better with time. It's just better. And sometimes when I see that the communication is getting low, I just remind her again, listen, remember what we spoke about it, because it's very important that you communicate things to me in advance. It's like you're not in advance, with time, because I have my plan. And if you want to go, okay, we are just like example now today, and she comes from there, from her where on the living room, and now she opens the door and say, Mom, I'm flying tonight to Mexico. What? You see, if you don't have responsibilities, if you don't have certain things that you need to accomplish before having this kind of decisions,
Mm.
which is paying your bills, making sure you're not start. For me, is when I think about being organized in the kitchen, I'm being organized with my money. I'm being organized with certain things that has to be. It's no point I'm going to Australia tomorrow and I haven't paid my bills. Or I'm struggling to pay. And this kind of thing for me is like, what? And then she needs to explain, and sometimes she forgets. She needs to tell me with time. That kind of thing.
How did that feel? Because I'm interested in what you said about your response to that, where she said, "Mum, I don't want to, this communication is too much." And I'm paraphrasing a bit, but you said that you felt like a monster, and it was like, where did that come from? Because I mean, obviously you had a way of communicating, but I'm curious to understand how that got interpreted by you that way. That like that you being the monster, you were just communicating with each other.
Where does that come from? From the fact that when she says, I don't want to be more into this kind of communication, I think she also said certain things like, I think you're not listening, or you're not allowing me to communicate. And I'm like, really? I didn't realize. It's something like, wow, I'm making her suffer in silence without knowing.
Yeah.
And that was the monster I was telling and talking, because it's just being big. I feel like I'm a big animal just on top of someone.
Overbearing, yeah.
Like a bear, like,
yeah.
I'm here to protect you. And I'm like, and she don't want to be protected, or she don't want to be advised, or she don't want to be. So things just became, I think now things are better because we had this conversation, but it was tough.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm wondering about too, because that was be my next question as to how did that evolve? But you're saying things are better now, but is that the case with the children, as from that side of things, is having those tough conversations, being able to go, okay, we need to have a talk about this, and it's probably the same, not just with children, but with a partner or something like that. Sometimes if there's something that needs to be said, like it was obviously building up within your daughter. And she needed to have a chat about that. Is it? How do we get that? Do you think we get that confidence or have the space to be able to feel safe enough to be able to say that? How can we facilitate that? Do you think as parents?
It's your communication, your way of communicate is very important, because let's see one thing that is important here. She's not like me. I'm a talky person. I can talk with anyone in the street. I can go anywhere, and I'm fine. I can talk unless I don't feel for it.
Yeah.
And my daughter is a nice person as well. She can talk with people, but not on the deepest way like myself, because I'm a deeper. I always been a deeper, and instead of just listening that she's concerned about that we keep this kind of relationship texting each other, I want to go deeper. I want to know where this coming from, because it must be something. And what I could understand was like, because you grow, when you see other friends, they very independent, or they think independent, or they don't do this kind of thing. So she analyzed like, oh yes, because she at the same time she says, she could say to me, I know it's my fault, and that kills me like a monster. Like, there we go, comes again the monster, because hearing my daughter saying, I know the fault is I know it's my problem, I need to sort this out, or I've been doing this to myself, being quiet, I should be talking. And this is painful as a mother. Listen, that my daughter couldn't bring her voice out.
Yeah.
Couldn't say, like, feel afraid of. It's not just with me, it's normal, because if someone and on that conversation, on that day, I could bring to her, say, that's why I see sometimes certain situations with her, like, for example, with friends. If a friend asks, do you have something, can I borrow? And she, okay, that's fine. But then she don't have the attitude to go back and ask for her thing back, like money. She will take long, she will wait. And Yola is not like that. Yola will say, hello, time is now, what is my money? Where is my money? You understand? And that kind of thing. It's just, so it is a mix of stuff that goes into this simple. For her, for me, it was not simple. But yeah.
Because I'm just wondering how you do that, how you create that. I mean, I know from, I haven't had that happen for me yet, and maybe it's coming. We try to create. Yeah.
That's good. I hope.
I think I was a terrible non-parent, because I always used to say how easy parenting was, and then I was always full of, this is how to do that, but the thing was, when I was a parent, it was easy for me, and I haven't had any of the problems. They said, "Oh, you're gonna." It's like, I mean, from a very young age, he was a great sleeper, but there was times, it wasn't always the case. But what I did was, if he was feeling upset or whatever, and maybe too because I was a lot older. I didn't have children at a young age. I mean, I was 30. I was 35, I think, when he was born. How old am I now? 36. I was 36 when he was born. So that, that's, I've got a lot of maturity compared to someone maybe in their 20s. There's a big growth difference there. There's also a difference in money as well. I mean, we weren't, I was in a pretty good financial situation. So we lived in a good suburb, and then moved to, the most expensive suburb in a nice big house. So we had resources to help as well. We had a cleaner, we had pool guy, we had a gardener, had and had a nanny as well. So that relieves a bit of that load. But I remember, from a perspective, if he was upset going to sleep, I'd hold him close to my chest, and I would almost meditate. So I would relax, and I would be thinking, not, how do I quieten this kid down and make myself. I would just make myself really calm. And I remember holding, I could feel him go to sleep. I'd just gently lay him down in the cot, and he would sleep through the night. It was rare that, we had, I can't really recall any times where he was up late at night when we went on plane trips, which went on a lot. He would always be good, or sleep. We went, actually, I think we didn't go to London, went to Switzerland. So that's a 22-hour flight from Australia, with a stopover as well. And so we, on a plane for so many hours, stop over 3 hours in Singapore, wherever we stopped over, and then continue on. He slept for most of that flight. It was just fine at 4 months old. So I think it was just one of those annoying parents where before I was a parent, I was telling him this is going to be easy, and then when I had the child, it was easy. So, but
I till today, I keep saying to everyone I meet and have the opportunity to share this, is I've been blessed. I don't have, in terms of having a quiet, no, like, sleeper. My daughter is still the same. She's still sleeping, like she can sleep 24 hours, like I was like. And if she don't sleep, she gets migraines. But it is like, I never ever, because I see cases of parents, they don't sleep because the kid, he doesn't sleep, or he cries all night, something, and I'm like, I never had that. I can't remember once.
You know what it is? You know what it really is? It's because you like things organized and neat and tidy. That's what makes good parenting.
And I do believe that as well. From the when she was inside of me, I think it's a really strong connection with parents. I don't know how you dealt with that when it was inside your wife in that times. If you come and you talk and you hold the bed, all these kind of things.
Yeah, I think there was a fair bit of that. I don't remember it exactly, but I don't remember any great tension or anything around that time. It was a really happy time. It was.
That's right. And that's what I come to my conclusion with my daughter as well, is the same, because I wasn't worried. I did sleep well. I remember, I keep saying to her, I remember to pray for her to have nice hair, and yeah, and she could cook when she grows.
You got
and
that.
I used to,
you see, you need to cook and clean.
And then I used to say as well, because my grandma, she used to have big, she's no longer here, but she has big boobs. And I'm like, God, I don't want to get pregnant and have big boobs like my, I was scared. So this is three things that I used to pray, like she has nice hair so I can comb properly. It's not a hard with, because it's mix of Africans. So I was just like, because I don't have a bad hair. My boyfriend, her father on that time, he didn't have a bad hair, but some of in the family you can. So I was praying all the hair about she can become nice, she can cool. But that was just afterwards at the end. But the hair and the like to be calm and so on. I prepared myself. I didn't want to. I wasn't not looked to be on a yoga thing or meditation. I didn't do anything like that. But I slept like a cow.
Yeah.
I slept like I could sleep 2 days in a row.
Wow.
And my mom, and I'm pregnant. I need to eat. So
yeah.
I'm just sleeping. It's serious. I even myself, because before pregnancy, I would sleep crazy.
Yeah.
My mom, I'm dead. Because if I'm going out,
I remember you telling me.
Yeah, if I'm going clubbing and I arrive home 7 o'clock in the morning, I guarantee you that I'm gonna wake up 7 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just me. Even today, if I'm going out and the party, and I don't drink, I don't do drugs, so it's really exhausting because I've been dancing.
Yeah.
Been enjoying myself. So it is like, even today, if I'm going out, it's gonna be nice, and then I sleep. I don't have, and she's exactly like me. She's still the same. And she says nowadays, she says, if I have kids, I hope my kids are like mine, because you see other people suffering. You see, we did not suffer, but a lot of parents, they go through a lot of hard times.
Well, that's something. I mean, when they're younger, that's a different story. That's a whole different element. But I think, I know when Benjamin was young, and there were times where he was, agitated and not sleeping. I just did that, hold him close and I relaxed. I didn't worry about it. I wasn't worried about why he's not sleeping. It was just like, okay, I just need to relax. He'll follow and go to sleep, which is largely what happened. But when they're older, I mean, having that communication and fostering that, that emotional bond, because it sounds like you were very close and she was quite involved in your life, because it's a similar sort of thing from my end. I mean, sometimes we'll go play badminton, for example, and there's a neighbor across the road that plays badminton. There's a small group here, and they go and play in the church hall, and we'll just go and we'll play together, and him and I will have that, bond, that connection that way. There's a couple of things like that where it's we have that connection. But I mean, and also too, while he's playing, he likes video games, which I can relate to that because I did too. But how do I show a little bit of interest in that? So it's just like, how do we create that bond? Is it just having that connection and showing that interest? Is that what we need to do?
Keep it up. I think we need to having that connection. I put that one. How to? I think it's to carry on to create. I don't know. I am a. There we go. I think we both, Damien, we are parent like open people.
Yeah, being open.
Yeah,
maybe that's the takeaway. Because I know you've got to run, but I was trying to get to what is it? But I think what you've said there is just we are open to what's going on, open to listening, open to addressing that situation.
Yeah, and we for being, because how we been open, what happened to us is our experience and everything we decide to follow and learn, and who we are today make us that parents that. Because if imagine someone that is the opposite of yourself, you can imagine the relationships with their kids or children.
Well, when you said that, because I think about my own childhood, and there's parts where the relationship wasn't open, and that's not to say a parent should tell a kid everything. I mean, that's not what we're talking about openness, but being open, open to that relationship. I think that applies in all relationships. I love that. What a takeaway! Sorry, yeah, I know you've got to go, but it's like that to me. That's a very profound takeaway. You always inspire me, Yola. It's like you just come up with these nuggets. It's just like nuggets of gold. And
it's you. It's not me. It's you.
Well, you're the one who said I'm sitting there talking around in circles, and then you've gone, it's being open. I went, oh yeah, that's what it is. And you've just summed it up in a nutshell. It's beautiful. I love it. But it is. I think that's that's what we're talking about: strategies for fostering healthy communication and emotional bonds, and just being open. I love it.
Me either. It comes because we're doing this. It's not because myself. But thank you so much for your words. I'm glad that I inspire you, and you inspire me as well.
You do. Well, that's definitely earned you a cooked dinner, I think. I think you'll get a cooked dinner. That's where we need to be.
But is it mutual? What do you mean, cooked dinner? Mutually? I don't want that.
I'll have to. Well, when we catch up one day, I'll probably give you a cook a dinner for you. How's that?
Oh, okay, that sounds good, but I don't want to wait too long. But on the other hand, you can have another choice to send a jet with your food to me.
Okay, I'll FedEx it to you.
It's like arriving to you.
There you go. Exactly. How long did the letter take to get there? I think it took about 3 weeks. So. Can't remember. Anyway, all right. I'm holding you up. We'll leave that. So yeah, but just being open. Love it. What a takeaway. Thank you very much, Yola. It's been a wonderful chatting with you as always.
So much, Cecile. Take care. And
thank you for being part of the Share.Care community and helping people around the world prosper. You're creating a bigger pie for everyone to share. The more people contributing to the world being a better place, the better the world becomes, for others and for you.